support. He even forgets or intentionally leaves out things like, and my candidate showed up promptly at 7 o'clock at the wrong Red Robin. So he's very patient. He doesn't have much to work with, but I sure appreciate all he does. I'm told that the topic that might be of interest is, what does the county do? Why should we care? And what does it have to do with kind of this race in the coming year? But more from an angle of what's the role of government? Is that an interesting slant? I could go lots of different directions with this if you'd like.
That's perfect.
Okay. Is it? I'll save plenty of time for questions if that's also okay. But maybe I can just kind of liven things up, or starting, if it's all right, with a question to you. Why are you Republicans? Any one or two or three answers? Why are you a Republican, and what do you think it should mean to be a Republican?
I'm mean, evil-spirited.
No, yes. I'll vouch for that.
I agree with the Republican platform.
I agree with the Republican platform. Yeah.
I love my newly adopted country.
Okay. I love my country. I agree with the platform. Help us out with...
We believe in limited government.
We believe in limited government. Okay. Can you tell me more about that? What does it mean? What does limited government mean?
Well, you have either two parts. You either have the states in control or you have the federal government in control.
Okay. So that's different. What do you want a really big state government? Just you want a small federal government? Is that what limited government means?
No, limited everywhere.
Limited everywhere. Limited to what?
Government exists to do things that cannot be effectively done by individuals.
Okay, all right. I think that's starting to make some sense to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Government should not involve itself in private enterprise like hotels.
Okay. So it shouldn't build a convention center hotel, but I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Or local government is better.
So local government is better government. Yeah.
Limited government means that you have maximum personal liberty. In other words, I care about limited government because it means that I have the maximum number of options to make choices in my life. That's why I'm a Republican, because I want to control my own destiny.
Okay, thank you. I actually managed. I don't know. Thanks to Randy's introduction, I actually managed to become the third generation in my family to teach at BYU briefly when I conned the public policy department into letting me invent and teach a class there many years ago called Defining Roles for Government. What is it that we want government to do? What is it we don't want them to do? It was mostly just an excuse to have a bunch of students make me think more rigorously. It was a great experience. We started off the first class with what is the difference between a glee club, a church group, the Boy Scouts, a business, and government. And government on the other side. What is the one thing that is different?
The ability to compel.
The
ability to compel people. Put people in jail.
Force.
They can do things.
That is exactly the point. So many of you have probably thought about this before, but the specific definition that we borrowed from somebody was government is a monopoly on force within a geographic region. In the absence of something official like a government, gangs will do. Whoever has the gun, whoever is compelling what happens, that is the government. And the defining essence of government, then, is force. We happen in this country, in this community. Oh, you want me to stay closer?
If you can stay in that general area, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were doing that. We are the government, we the people. And so we the people have a gun in our hand, and exactly when should we put it to our own head? That's kind of the starting question of what was our class. And I think then when we go back to limited government and we want it to do only the things that it can do, the way I phrase that in my mind is to kind of put all of these things that you've said together is we want government to do only the things that only government can do. And we want each level of government to do only the things that government, that level of government can do. Starting local, if at all possible. And if it can't be done, and it has to be done by government, then it rolls up, and what's the next level up from that, and so on. How many of you know what county government does? Gary knows. Randy has heard my speech too many times. Okay, yeah.
It helps the people that can't, well, it helps rehabilitate people.
Okay. He's clearly come to a couple of my things too, or at least I'd like to take this, but
No,
that
I
I
haven't.
think I know. Yeah.
They provide some services that the municipality doesn't. They may provide sewer, roads, some of those types of public services. They provide some public health. They deliver public health. They provide some law enforcement, some public safety.
Right. So let me give you my view and see how it feels to you. The way I read, and I was at the county for 4 years, and I wouldn't know really otherwise, honestly. But what in the jail. So to oversimplify only slightly, the state government, we know federal. State is Medicaid, education, courts, scary people who belong in prison, big roads that aren't freeways, and a bunch of other stuff that they do if they feel like it. Cities, municipalities, municipal functions are law enforcement, fire, planning and zoning, small roads, and other stuff they decide to do. And arguably sewer, trash pickup, snow removal, those are municipal functions. The county, so that if that's city and that's county, that's state and that's city, the county in the middle, I think of as two different things, required and optional. The optional services range from, and it doesn't mean that these are bad, it doesn't mean that we should stop doing them, we're just not required to do them. It could have been done by the city, it could have been done by the state, and in other states and in other cities, it is done by other people. But in our county, those optional services range from the extraordinarily competent and extraordinarily popular library system, ranging through the convention centers, the cultural facilities, rec centers, a lot of golf courses, and things like that. Regional parks. These are things that we've decided that we're going to do as a region, and we decided that we're going to use the county to do them. Or some others where the county doesn't necessarily own them, like the zoo, they're an independent entity, but we fund a lot of the subsidy through the county. But I would classify those as optional things. In Salt Lake City, for example, they have their own library, right? And anyway, what is required of the county? We have recording properties, surveying. I guess every city and every mosquito abatement district could come up with its own taxation system and collection system, but we do that through the county, and I think that probably is right. What also we have, and federal and state dollars, really around the whole country, flow to the counties to do what I like to call services for people we are worried about, might even be mad at, but we have not yet given up on. Jail, mental health, drug treatment, seniors, at-risk kids, increasingly refugees, homelessness. The people who are on the edge of society at whatever age and for whatever reason, and who we're not scared of, we haven't given up on, that's the county's primary job, along with the things that are statutorily required and create sort of an infrastructure across the entire thing, like what Darien does. So let me ask you then the question again. If we want government to do only the things that government can do, we want each level of government to do only the things that it can do, that each level of government can do, starting closest with the people, then in tough times like this, how do we prioritize? I've rigged the answer, I hope. I I hope I have slanted the question sufficiently.
Well, you're going to say we should push things down to the city. I
Well-
disagree with.
Well, actually, I do think that that's right on the municipal services. I think that municipal services are better. So whether or not we actually have wall-to-wall cities, and we'll see what happens to Mill Creek. If Mill Creek goes, then the rest of it is going to be a very, very tough game for the county to continue. Regardless, I do believe that we should push those decisions, empower Mill Creek, empower Magna, to make more of their own planning commission decisions without the fear that we're going to override them. For example, over in Mill Creek, I am consistently told that after they passed the Monster Home initiative several years ago to limit what you can build on your lot, that now they are being told that if they were to try to reverse that decision, that the mayor would veto it, even though he doesn't live in the area, and so even if they make a decision. I don't know what the right decision is for them, but give them more decision, give them more voice, let them control, largely influence at least, their own municipal services budgets. I think that makes sense. So then within what the county does, I hope that what I did by laying things out from sort of not as popular, not as sure optional services through to very popular regional services to the required services, that it becomes at least clear what my pitch is. My pitch is that in tough times, what we should do is focus on people before we were focused on capital projects. It's really about that simple. If we think at home, I'd like to go on a vacation, or maybe we need to get some clothes and some school supplies for the girls before the fall begins, we make choices, right? We as a county need to start making some choices. This last month, the county council has been asked by the mayor to approve $600 million in new borrowing, potentially, if you add the hotel. $600 million, that's, what is that? That's, let me do the math, it's $200 per household for the next 15, 20 years. I'm not sure that that's what we want to be doing right now.
Let freedom